Hey, I'm just going to grab some water, continuing the Melbourne theme. One sec. Or I would. Oh no, there's some. There you go. And I'm probably maybe going to swear, also being from Melbourne. It's really hot in Australia, so that's the only way we have to cool down. All right, yeah. Thanks, Lappy, for the intro. As Lappy said, producer at the moment. Previous to that, I've been a game designer. I've been working in Melbourne for about 5 or 6 years now. At the moment, I'm at Wymac, so running a team out in Oakley, which is kind of like east of Melbourne. We're about 30 strong now, and under heavy NDA, just as we're coming up to the end of the title with a big investment company, so I can't really go into that too much. But previous to that, I've worked for a company called GREE, who was previously Twitch. While I was working with them, we did some games with Nexon through Korea and Japan and Disney, and yeah. So I've been around a long time, and a long time ginger. First time play-by-play caller, so here I am. Just to preface this quickly, some of these lessons will be really obvious, but if the one thing that I've taken away from the last few years of game design and development and working with big teams with lots of people is people are really bad at taking advice. They're really bad at taking advice from conferences and applying it to what they do. So you'll have to bear with me. Some of these may seem obvious, but you're probably not doing them. And if you are, at least there's maybe 1 or 2 things you can help someone else do. First of all, as a couple of people have repeated, no one knows what they're doing implicitly. It's safe to assume that everyone's just as freaked out as you are and they're making it up as they go along. This is especially true of a team scenario where the people who do the best work are the people who usually can just see a few tasks ahead and focus on what they're doing. As a producer, I've seen a lot that, the people who really are great in the team at creating content are generally not so great at seeing forward. And so what you want to do is make sure that those people can do their best work by having someone in your team to help provide those people with a game plan. Don't give it to them all at once. And let them just do their best work while someone else keeps track of things. Secondly, people are happier when they're busy. This is a kind of a no-brainer. People seem to start feeling really useless, and their mind goes to dark places when they don't have things to think about. If you stare long enough into the void, it will stare back at you or scream at you or tell you your shit or something. But people get really caught up when they don't feel that they have much to do or much to offer. So we'll go back. The best way to manage that is to give people lists, but don't give them too much of a list, and give them a plan, but don't give them too much of a plan because they'll freak out. They'll freak out. So as I said, people become really nervous when they can't see what's coming next. And if you can see too much, some people can deal with this really well, but for the most part, with everyone in my team, maybe barring a few people, and most of the people I've worked with in the past, they'll generally just freak out if there's a lot in front of them. Just really break it down into milestones for them. All the designers in the room will get this 100%, and most people who've worked with designers will also understand it. A lot of design work is completely invisible. Those who haven't experienced it before, say more tactile roles like programmers, animators, 3D modelers, a lot of them don't understand the benefit of design work until they've actionably felt it. And sometimes they'll forget it project to project and only remember it when they see that benefit come forward. So, it's really important to help those people understand that design is a cannon fodder for problem solving, and the more time they are afforded up front, the less time you have to spend later. So that might be, providing a really great design document, which everyone knows is useless after, the first, couple of hours of game development after using that document. But that is a good way to show that 90% of design work up front, and other people can take and use that. It might be like flowcharts for a programmer to help them implement something, but really just helping those roles see what a designer can produce early is great. You wouldn't believe how often I've come up against people who, well, not against, but worked with and kind of had to help people understand that you're in the wrong field if you don't like change. Artists get a really hard time with this because art is really personal, and when you get feedback on your art and you're told you have to change something about it, it can hurt. Same with programming, same with design, but yeah, you're really just in the wrong field if you can't take that stuff. It takes a bit of time to develop a thick skin, and sometimes it's not even just developing a thick skin, sometimes it's opening up and accepting the things that you're being told and just becoming okay with the fact that you have to adapt. Games by nature require iteration. Everyone here knows this, most likely. Sometimes we need a reminder because, you know, we don't want to change something because we're really proud of it, or like I said, it is really personal sometimes. But yeah, if you're wanting to design something and put it out and then just watch it sail off into the sunset and make money, it's probably not going to happen. So yeah, the best thing to do is get used to iterating. So this is one that I struggled with early days, becoming a leader or a manager of people. When I got brought onto the project I'm working on now, it was just me for a good couple of months. And slowly I had to hire 30 people to offload some of the tasks that one person can't do, or two people can't do, or three people can't do. And that can be really hard. Again, as with design or content creation, you can feel like a personal ownership for the things that you've had your hands up until that point. But you really just need to, not become a goblin and stop micromanaging people and trust people. It's hard as a manager sometimes to see mistakes as the fault of yourself or the fault of the structure of the team, and rather blame someone as an independent person. Usually that's not because they're incapable. 99% of the time it's not because they're incapable. It's usually because they don't have the tools or the information that they need to make a great decision. Just providing someone or having someone sit there like a producer whose job it really is just to facilitate information and good work is really valuable. This one I'm stealing from Mike Biffle a little bit, who I think is doing his talk today using the same quote. But make your inputs happen immediately. Most good designers know this. Most people who've kicked out a few games know this. But animators really, really just want their best work to show, and they'll fight you till the end and lose because they want to see their best work happen when you've just pressed an input, and they wind right up. But don't do that. Don't do that. If you're working in any game that requires any sort of feedback from pressing a button, which is every game really, make it happen straight away. Everyone's heard this, but it really does bear repeating. I don't think anyone's really talked about it too much at this talk, but I'm going to be the guy. Half your scope and half it again. I know everyone's heard this, but everyone's really bad at scoping. I'm really bad at it, and I think really just everyone is. You need to go through that process of scoping and failing a bunch of times. And humans are just really terrible at seeing this living, breathing project as separate with all these moving parts and then bring it back together and seeing it as a cohesive group and mapping that to a timeline. So you're probably scoping too big, bring it back. To do that, my best advice is to just boil it down to the very core essence of what you want it to be. So if it's a platformer, just take the run mechanic and make that. Then layer on top of that the jump mechanic, and then on top of that the attack mechanic, or whatever else you want on that game. You just layer them on because you can evaluate each one first, piece by piece, and make sure that you haven't got 5 things you're trying to figure out where this one little piece of it's gone wrong and having to work your way back. Doing that up front is really useful. And sometimes you'll find that you'll get to the point where you've done what you wanted to do earlier just by working your way there slowly. This is kind of like more personal stuff. So my outlet is legitimately parkour. I've been doing it for about 11 years now. I'm not suggesting you go jump off buildings. It's fun, it's an outlet, but a lot of us work really, really hard, and everyone's heard this argument, and that's been going on for the last few months, which is, people are really glorifying this crunch, this hard work ethic that everyone seems to have. It can be really damaging. I'm here to tell you that stress will manifest physically. It might take a couple of years, but it will, and everyone thinks that it won't happen to them, but it's going to happen to you. I just had to have my wisdom teeth out because I was grinding my teeth in my sleep, but that shit is because of stress, and it happens. So I'm trying to reel back and take my own advice, and I really, really suggest that you do too. Your health and well-being are the most valuable tools you can have in your arsenal to help you keep making games. Without those, you're not going to be able to do anything, let alone make games. So nothing is worth giving that up. It might feel like it at the time, might feel like crunch is worthwhile just to get this thing out the door, but there's always the risk of damaging your health. And until you do that, this is the part of that advice I was talking about that people are really bad at taking. Until you do this, you probably won't rein it in a bit, but just be really, really aware in the meantime. Just check on yourself. See, every now and again, look at your body, look at your health and your mind, and just say, how am I feeling? Maybe just keep a little journal and just write, how did I feel today? Or how did I feel yesterday? And look back at that in a week. And if nothing's changed, you probably need to make a change a little more drastically than you are. The best lesson I've learned over the last couple of years is you don't need to help other people, but I highly recommend helping other people because it's super rewarding. Seeing other people succeed is probably more rewarding than seeing yourself succeed in some ways, because you can, if you kind of help other people succeed regularly, it'll start feeling like you're succeeding too. And in some ways it makes it easier for you to succeed because you're just surrounded by all these people who can and just help push you over the line with what you're doing if you're in need. But also it helps you offload some stress, it helps you offload the feeling of helplessness when you're right in the middle of something that you can't move on past quite yet, but you can watch someone else do that for you. And finally, communicate honestly to others. This is really hard and a lot of people aren't very good at it. With my team, we have some really affectionate people in my team. There's one guy who comes into the office every day and will give you a kiss on the forehead while you're just working at your desk. To some people, I've seen other people just like reel back from that, but to most of the people in our team, we think he's the sweetest person in the world. And he communicates really openly, and so do I, and so do a bunch of the other people on the team. And we've had some people who weren't so open and kind of went to negative thoughts more quickly than others. And being surrounded by people who do communicate honestly and show their feelings honestly, those people are brought up around you. So I just really, really recommend communicating honestly to others. Oh, sorry, that wasn't the last one. Everyone knows this. That's one, I didn't do too bad. Everyone knows this advice, but everyone's really, really terrible at taking it. Some people will, have their dream job and it's their full-time job and they're working for someone else, but that is the thing that they wanted to do. Without doing that, they couldn't create all this awesome content and work with all these great people. That's fine if that's what you want to do, chase that. But if you're not happy working full-time and for the benefit of someone else, monetarily at least, or even just losing some passion on working on projects that aren't really what you want to be doing, you've just got to go for it. I'm in the middle of taking this advice myself. I'm about to move to England in 2 months and just sail off and, into the sunset I go, and I'll try these things. And, sometimes it's scary because you could fail. But for me, I don't want to go on forever working for people. I want to work for me, and when I'm 40, be able to employ people or be able to help people achieve their dreams, by investment or by all those things. So I'm going to pursue that and take it off, and I want you all promise to me that you're going to do the same thing from now on. And you're probably wondering, I had to get this in somehow. I think this is the last time this meme will ever be shown, and probably rightly so. I'm not an expert on all of this. Most of this advice, as I said, I'm still taking it myself. I've been lucky to be in a position where I can see this needing to be applied to other people, help them apply it and see them succeed. But I'm really not an expert. You all know yourselves best. So if you can apply any of this to yourself or help other people do the same thing, I'll be really happy that this talk will have succeeded. So thank you so much for having me, Wellington.